I'm a student at the Monaco Passios Combined School. I'm in grade 6 and my teacher is Miss Stanislaus. My favorite subject would be math. I don't normally like it, but my teacher makes it finds a way to make it fun. I also love the positive quote she put up all over the walls. It reminds me to keep going. Also, the new wing is very impressive. The balcony is very large, so at break time I can eat my snack and go for a nice little walk. I also like the size of the classroom, so I'm not sticking on anybody because 6 feet apart. Before, it was a rocky ride coming to school when I normally take the bus, but now the drivers don't have any complaints now that the district rep fixed it. Before, it was like a rocky, stony road, a dirt road, but now that they fixed it with some concrete and nice tools, it's a smooth ride. I may even fall asleep.
Thank you, Dr. Rigobert.
Hello everyone, I'm Norbert Williams, right here on Sky FM 93.1. Join me Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for the morning edition of Keeping It Real. And on Tuesdays and Fridays, Minerva Ward joining me from Canada, right near the North Pole. Although it's cold over there, it's gonna be hot in here. Don't you forget, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on GVD TV and streaming live on Facebook. Don't you miss it. Hello everyone, I'm Norbert Williams, right here on Sky FM 93.1. Join me Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for the morning edition of Keeping It Real. And on Tuesdays and Fridays, Minerva Ward joining me from Canada, right near the North Pole. Although it's cold over there, it's gonna be hot in here. Don't you forget, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on GVD TV and streaming live on Facebook. Don't you miss it. Good morning, St. Lucia. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Bonjour, bonjour. Levez la, osav saoni pou fe levez la. Good morning to you folks, and today is another beautiful day in paradise. It's Tuesday, the first day of June 2021. Can you believe it, folks? Can you remember where you were and what was going on 5 years ago, June 2016? Well, I can. That monumental, that memory month, is a special month for people like me, all the smart people, all the sexy and hot and just, by the way, not forgetting, it's June, and here with me, almost forgot her, she hasn't been here for so many times. You just kind of forget people like that. Minerva Ward is here, folks. She's here.
Good morning, Norbert.
Yeah, good morning to you. I don't know.
Is it your birthday month?
It is.
Oh, nice.
That's right.
So I'm going to have to sing you happy birthday.
There you go. There you go. On Friday, you'll have to do that because it's going to be after Friday. It's actually on Sunday.
Gosh.
And
Lord,
you get the opportunity to organize so that I could get some cake. And of course, you have to be nice to me.
I see.
Yeah.
June born. Okay. Nice. Big birthday coming up.
Yeah. Well, I had a little.
Time for the birthday.
I had a little thing here this morning. Well, not here. Trying to get here. No water.
Oh
And
Lord.
that's another story. Another
Yeah.
story.
Mm.
When I happened to make it, I worked some Jimmy
Yeah.
Flicks. So, you know, the pump disappeared. So working on the pump, and the plumber decided that he wasn't going to connect the pipes in the meantime. There's no way to get any water, so I had to go down by the river.
Well, you look fresh and clean.
Well, I try. You know, it's just natural, you know. It's natural, as you can see. It's natural.
Yeah.
That. Yeah. So, folks. Yeah. What do you want to say? What do you want to say? What? You started saying something. Anyway.
No, I was just.
Good morning.
Time to talk.
Yeah. Good morning. Yeah. Take your time. Take your time. Don't worry. Good morning to all the fans listening around St. Lucia, those in the diaspora as well. And we have quite a number of them lined up already in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Antigua, the U.S. Those listening on their mobile devices in St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Puerto Rico, Canada, the U.S. of A., the U.K., Australia, South Africa. I wonder who that could be. You know, somebody in Moscow, Russia, somebody over there. Yeah. India, we have a few connections in India this morning. You speak Indian or whatever, Hindi or whatever it is. I don't know. Trinidad, did I say that? Barbados. Morning to you, St. Vincent. Good morning. You know, things have quietened down a bit in St. Vincent, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
So anyway, moving right along. Thank you so much to all of you. You want to say hello and good morning to the people around St. Lucia? You know, I could start you off.
Yeah.
You know, since you don't know all those places. Entrepot, good morning, Entrepot. Good morning, Independence City. So I started the ball
Hold on.
rolling for
You don't need to start me off. JB Bricks.
Where you learn that one? Huh?
Good morning to my friend Jana in the U.S. My friend Jana is from Labrie.
Wow. Is she listening?
Yes. Good morning, Jana.
Is she listening?
She is listening. She sent me a message. Good morning.
Oh, hey, Jana, how are you? Take your time. Take your time.
Hello to that crazy Norbert.
Take your time. Hey, Jana. Morning. How are you?
Now, whenever I greet my female friends, you always put on your
Why you
voice.
all jealous and everything? Why are you jealous? No, stop that, man. Stop that.
Every time I say hello to my female friends on the show, you always get into
But
your nice
you always
voice
trying to cut me out.
and chat. Yes.
Can't have me all to yourself. It's being selfish.
Okay, let's go on. So good morning to Cape State. Good morning to Redway.
Yeah.
Lafayette. Labon.
Lafayette.
Good morning to Lafayette. Good morning to Moni. Shock. Kebush. Good morning to Bogies. Cabish. Good morning to Bocage.
Boy, these 2 times you weren't here the past 2 weeks, boy, you were practicing, boy. What? Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Good morning to Mon Fortune, to Lacqua Mingo, Marigo. Then we'll be there, Norbert. Lakai.
Wow.
Good morning to Carrot, Rabin Poisson.
Wow.
Good morning to Ant Lavedou.
Ans Lavedi.
Ant Lavedi. Good morning to Maho. Uto, Prale.
Take care, you bite your tongue there. Slow down, you bite your tongue.
Laugh wet. Stop interrupting my good morning.
Your flow, okay.
Norbert.
Right. Okay.
Good morning to T. Rocher, Deriso, Blanchard. Good morning to Daba. Good morning to Lafad. Look you up, Kadisha laughing at me. Norbert.
Really? Me?
You see what you causing?
Where does she live?
Kadisha lives some part of January, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know
Kadisha,
any
what part of
place.
January you
I don't know any place called some part of Dennery.
I don't know which part of January she lives.
Oh, it starts with O. Ol.
Olio.
Ah.
Olio.
There you are. They sent you a message. Don't try that.
You always try to trip me up, Norbert, okay? Look at you yourself on me.
Let's
I'm
keep
done.
going.
That's all my.
No. Hey. You ain't reached South yet. And West. You ain't hit
you try-
Canaries.
oh,
You ain't reached
now?
Soufre. What to you?
Okay.
If you're
Of
going
course I
to, if you're going to
reached
show
I
off,
said good morning,
if you're going to
Buto.
show off properly.
Good morning, Buto. Good morning, Force Jacques. Good morning, Rabo. La Fag. La Pouette. Good morning, Daba Labri. Good morning to the folks in Citrus Grove. My friend Jana's mother. Good morning. Good morning to Piero and OJ. Where else did we put? Larry Shoes and Opicon.
Wow.
You said I got it right this time?
I'm listening.
That's enough.
What happened to Deriso and all those places over there? T. Rocher.
I said
Nico.
Deriso, T-Rocher.
T-Show.
Blanchard.
Where's T-Show? They
I
have
said
T-Show and Go
T-Rocher.
Show. T-Show and Go Show.
Kadisha, come for your friend Norbert, please.
Well, anyway,
And
folks.
good morning to all the essential workers, all the police, all the bakers,
Yeah.
all the bus drivers.
Yeah, we know
the
you like bread.
cleaners, the teachers. Who else? Good morning to the farmers, the fishers, people working on the farms are ready for the morning. Good morning to all the people getting ready.
Yes,
up
it
and
was,
about, the
Laura.
nurses,
Somebody says,
all the nurses.
somebody's asking me a question already. Oh, so elections was called on your birthday? Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Oh, was it? So you got a
Yeah.
double birthday gift.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what were you doing 5 years ago at this time, Norbert?
I was caught up in all the action, in all the back and forth. I remember just about that time, there was that whole big debate on whose poll was more accurate. There was the Peter Wickham and some other guy in the SLP was going on that it was not done properly or fabricated or some nonsense like that. Well, we saw what happened to those results, didn't we? There was some row about whose poll was more accurate or which one was done properly or whatever. But anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, coming up is the 6th of June, and it's the anniversary of the hiding that the SLP got at the last general elections in St. Lucia. It showed that the people of St. Lucia were saying no more. They were fed up. And it's 5 years since the people of St. Lucia said categorically that they didn't want the SLP to manage the affairs of state, that they didn't want to be in a situation where we could not borrow, but something happened, and we're getting our first call. I wonder who that could be. Uh-oh, they hung up already. You know?
Yeah.
Once that call comes in early like that, we know who it is, don't we? Good morning, you're on the
Mr.
air. Let's
McCleary.
keep it real.
Good morning.
You see?
Good
You see what I'm telling you?
morning.
You know, when I'm here alone, calls ain't coming in early like that.
No, but I'm not hearing him.
Oh, hold on. There you go.
You know, sometimes we pollute our minds. Our mind isn't polluted by what? Extremely garbage. Trash, pollution, garbage is slowly affecting our physical environment. Even more dangerous, the buildup of waste thoughts that is polluting the minds of man. A million thoughts flash in the mind. All those thoughts are extracting energy and causes fatigue and make them restless. To brighten up your life, you must first learn to brighten up your thoughts. Focus on your energy. Remember, an arrow hits the target because it only has one point. Every day, clean the mind. One positive thought every day will surely help to clean up the mental environment. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Have a great
sir.
day too. That's the man LeClery with his keeping it real thought for the day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no, but 5 years ago,
Yeah.
what I was doing, I was basically warning the Labour Party of the impending loss.
The impending doom. The impending doom.
And you know what? I didn't have to debate any poll to see it. I didn't have to argue about the validity of any poll. I saw the writing on the wall clear as day. The Labour Party had failed St. Lucians in its 5 years in office. The Labour Party in the time where the best years, I mean, really and truly, the world had recovered from the global financial crisis. The Caribbean took a little bit longer to recover, but the rest of the Caribbean had moved on from it. And St. Lucia had still not, we had still not. Our economy had contracted. There did not seem to be a plan to get our economy moving. We had the highest rate of unemployment. There were business closures. People were out of jobs. It's almost like the government had given up. It's almost like they had thrown their hands in the air and had given up. And we know they couldn't borrow. They basically said something happened. Something happened. And what happened is the poor management of the economy. Overall, there was just this feeling of gloom in St. Lucia. And again, there was nothing to cause it except poor management of the economy. There was no financial crisis. There was no pandemic. There was no global terrorism that caused the world to contract. The rest of the Caribbean had moved on. And what I heard from the Labour Party government were just excuses upon excuses upon it. But it seemed to me that they were just clueless about how to move St. Lucia forward. And these were the best years. These were key years that they should have capitalized on. And they squandered those years. It's just like you had people managing a country or managing an economy, and they were clueless about what to do and how to do it. And there was just this a sense of being comatose, of being lost, of being bankrupt of any ideas, bankrupt of, there was that sense that you had a Labour Party basically their camp just basically insulting everybody who disagreed with them, anybody who said anything, even their own supporters, just very, very nasty, very angry, very bitter. There was not a plan to move St. Lucia forward. There was not a feeling of hope from them. There was nothing. There was nothing in the best of times. I saw their defeat at the polls coming, and I told them that the day before the election that, if they, I said that in an article I wrote the day before election, if they had a chance, if they wanted to have a chance at 2021, they better go back to the drawing board, clean up their camp, clean up their act, come up with some plans. And you know what? They still have not, Norbert. They still have not. There is still no plans, no sensible, credible plans by the Labour Party, except freeness for everybody and tax cuts for everybody. And we all know you can't do both. You cannot do both. You certainly cannot do both. So, and I get the feeling that there's exactly the same place they were in 2016. Just a lack of plans, lack of anything progressive, lack of a sense of hope, the same old slate of candidates with their no ideas, bankrupt of the same guys that mismanaged the economy are now representing themselves for election with no new plan, no new nada. It's the same, it feels like on their part, the same place they were in June 2016, they're still there. They have not grown or evolved from that. What do you get a sense, Norbert?
Well, as so many people have said, that the SLP began campaigning the very same day or the following day or the day after elections in 2016, which suggests to me that nothing changed. I don't think anything changed in a few hours. In fact, nothing has changed because we see exactly the same attitude. And in fact, I think it's gotten worse. We have a call. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good morning, Mr. Williams.
I know it. They all coming out like bees.
Good morning, Madam Minerva.
Good morning,
Lady
Mr.
with the beautiful voice. Good morning,
Bermuda.
Bermuda, it's okay for now. It's okay for now. They gotta follow the protocols, They don't joke down here. They don't play. They hit you in your pocket. Okay?
That's what we should be doing.
Yep.
Good morning, Conway. Good morning, Ballard Hill. Good morning to my elderly statesman, my favorite elderly statesman, Sir Michael Shasta and Sir Peter Josie. Not forgetting the greatest chief medical officer on the planet, Dr. Sharon Thelma George. Take a bow, you and your frontline team. I need to get my own talk show, you know, Mr. Williams.
Hey, I tired of hearing you say that. Tired of hearing you say that, man, beige.
Mr. Bermuda,
you see?
you're on all talk shows. Why you need to get your own when you're on all?
Let me tell you something, man. For starters, Mr. Guy Joseph, the Honorable Guy Joseph, the good man that he is, has been educating us for years now, and more so lately with his new show, his constituency show.
Inside Castries
And the things that we have
Southeast.
been saying on those talk shows, you ain't got to be a rocket scientist to understand what the man is saying. He doesn't call them big words or no long words. It's only solutions that I call it big and long words. Even the U.S. president, following the U.S. president, Canadian presidents and British prime ministers and stuff, they don't call them big words like those guys down there, you know. They keep it simple like how guy does. They keep it very simple. And don't forget our great prime minister, the visionary prime minister, Sir Alan Michael Shasta, the best and greatest in the world. The thing that this man said about the SFP, the thing that the SFP said and done, if I was a politician, I would go dig a hole and bury myself in that. They have no shame. They're disgusting. I don't understand it, man. Why in the world would you want to make noise to run a country? Why you are a loser? When you are blank. You are 0 to 0. I cannot even give you a 1 out of 10. My God, these guys are disgusting, boy. Any solution, anybody that vote for the SFP got to be dumb, backward, and stupid. I say that. That's common sense. Anybody that vote for SFP got to be dumb, backward, and stupid. Could you imagine? Listen, I don't talk with them. Let me talk with the great Prime Minister. We've been through a pandemic, should I say season, era. And this man, Sir Alan Michael Shasta, when everybody back is against the wall, this man is strolling through like a Rolls Royce. This man says this pandemic, that can't stop me. I got a plan B. Work is going on, construction, all kind of work is going on all over St. Lucia. All over, not here, not down there, you know. Food court. That's so much. He caught the eyes of the U.S. President, Joe Biden, Canadian Prime Minister, Mr. Trudeau, Justin, England Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, and the European countries, the other European countries, including the Caribbean, including the Caribbean. The man leads and the rest follows. But people don't understand that. That's what I realize. Nobody else teach me that. That's what I see for myself. Everything you do, they follow him. They do not make a decision on this planet.
Okay, you have 1 minute, caller. You have 1 minute left. You have 1 minute.
Okay. They don't make a decision on this planet where this first world country, this man, the first world country doesn't have a meeting unless they had to get the ideas, get this man input. So Alan Michael Shasta. And guys, Mr. Guy, you're a champion. You are a champion. Nobody fool you. They walk out, what must I tell you? The reason why they walk out the House Assembly, I said over and over again, and I say tonight, is because they cannot handle you, Guy, and the great man, Alan Michael Shasta. They cannot face the cameras. That's the reason they walk out, because, and they're using the Governor General as the excuse. No, they have cocktails with the Governor General. They They're scared to see how y'all expose them, make them like schoolboys, listening to the principal. I have a lot more to say. As I said, one day I'll open my talk show. Because those guys are down there a bunch of idiots. They're what they call J and J. Jokers and, you know what, jackasses. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you for keeping it real. Yes, so I was getting to, of course, as usual, I gotta get to the keeping it real, the Sky FM Weather Center. And in Castries at 6:30 this morning, it's already sunshiny. The sun is blazing already, and I can see the blue skies poking through some clouds overhead. But according to the weather forecast in the Sky FM Weather Center, temperature right now is 81 degrees in Castries, St. Lucia, going up to a high today of 86. Partly cloudy all through the morning into the afternoon. And it's going to be about a 25% chance of rain, a little shower here and there, a little sprinkle. But that's about it, folks. 81 degrees going up to a high today of a cloudy 86 degrees. And I'm Norbert Williams from the Sky FM Weather Center. We have another call. Good morning. You on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good morning, brother Norbert. Good
morning, sir. How are you?
Minova. How are you doing, brother Norbert? Good morning,
doing
Minova.
Good morning.
5 years ago, you know where I was, brother Norbert?
No, I have no clue.
I was living in at the time I was living in Trinidad, and I remembered very clearly that the elections was the Monday, and I flew back to St. Lucia the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hit the ground, I knew it was like Minova said it. I told the Labour Party that it was inevitable, the defeat was inevitable. And when I got to St. Lucia the Friday night, I remembered Edmund Estefan had a meeting in January, and I stayed there about 2 o'clock in the morning arguing with some Labour Party supporters, telling them that come Monday, this is the end for them. And they were just defiant and in denial. And it just, you guys are so correct. It just brought me back to memory lane that the Labour Party is in the same state.
Worse. I think they're worse now.
They've
become desperately worse.
You're right. Desperately worse. They're in denial. The same thing they did in 2016. When you see you criticize them, they attack you personally. It's even worse now. They have no plan. Worse now, the candidates are recycled candidates. In fact, they have no candidates as far as I'm concerned, because up to now they can't feel they don't have a 17th place of candidates. The Labour Party, as we speak, in their present configuration, they are in total disarray. So Minova is right.
Yeah.
They're the same way, and they have not learned from 2016. You would think a party, I remember when the UWP lost the election in 2011, they didn't go and criticize and create anarchy, and try to create anarchy in the country and try to destabilize the country.
No.
What the United Workers' Party did was they went back to the drawing board, reassessed themselves, saw what went wrong, and
made the changes.
And made the necessary changes.
Yeah.
And got rid of some people they needed to get rid of.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
And very importantly, got rid of the dead weight.
Got rid of some of the people they needed to get rid of in the party.
That's so correct. They got rid of the dead weight. But with this present Labour Party, they ain't getting rid of no dead weight. They have the same recycled politicians. So it shows to the country that they haven't learned from 2016. It's like Rick Wayne have a thing saying, doing the same thing and expecting thing and expecting a different result is total madness.
Yeah.
And that is the Labour Party. And they have some agents, and that's the thing with the Labour Party. They don't know when to tell their agents to, you know what, hold the bricks.
Chill.
Yeah.
Chill.
Yeah,
Take a chill pill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what they say? You know what they say when you watch some of these horror movies or whatever? Release the hounds of hell. Like you have you. And no reeling back.
Absolutely. But caller, we saw it too. Not just the attacks and the and the personal attacks and the nastiness we see on social media. We've also seen the threats by their own camp. We've seen where one of their own candidates actually committed a criminal act of bursting into a church, interrupting a church service to attack his opponent. And what did they do? They circled a wagon and condoned his actions, defended him instead of taking a stance on it. Yeah, I stand with you. That was their campaign. The day after, I stand with Draxi. You know, so how are they going to tell their supporters, you know, pull back the nastiness and the hatred and the when they're condoning it, they're tacitly endorsing it. They're defending it. You know?
I remember the Walter Forswar issue. The same situation when it was discovered that Walter Forswar didn't have the necessary qualifications. He did not have possess a PhD. Remember that? And they condoned the thing. They supported Walter Forswar until when public pressure was too much. I remember we had this picketing of the House, and the guy still, the Labour Party still encouraged and tacitly endorsed Walter Forswar until when it was too much. They forced him to.
Caller, what's going to be most interesting for me? I'm watching to see what happens if Central, if the man they once vilified as the most frightening thing in St. Lucia politics, who the man they told us basically, the man they demonized, the man they warned us about, the man who they told us the reasons why the U.S. would revoke a diplomatic visa. I am watching and waiting to see if Labour Party is going to turn around and endorse that same man as the candidate for Central Castries. I am waiting to see that.
Well, let me tell you something. I mean, I will not be surprised because, you see, remember how they demonized Vaughan Lewis, wrote a book about Dr. Vaughan Lewis, and they still brought him on their platform. And I remember clearly that night on the market step, Dr. Vaughan Lewis said that was water under the bridge. So I will not be surprised if the Labour Party takes that move.
I don't think anything can compare to what they said and what they did to Richard Frederick. I don't think anything can compare to that. So I am waiting to see. That's beyond eating your vomit. That's beyond. If they endorse that candidate, Labour Party falls all-time lows.
But you know, the big question in all of this, is what will be the reaction of the United States government to any Labour Party government who has gone that route. You see, that's the thing you have to think of. Because the US withdrew those visas for particular reasons.
Absolutely.
Have those reasons gone away? Were the people who provided the evidence to support that revocation or to aid or to incite that revocation, are they still around? Has their story changed? You know, these are the little questions that you have to ask yourself.
When you look at what's happening, Stanley Felix has been on the ground, according to certain people in Central Castries, for the last 5 years. Let us be fair. I'm not a Labour Party supporter. I don't get involved in the internal thing, but I'm just looking at it from a common sense standpoint. Stanley Felix has been on the ground campaigning for 5 years. Julian Charles has expressed his interest. Peter Pell-Lancico has expressed his interest, who has been a Labour Party supporter for umpteen years.
The Spade? The Spade.
And the Labour Party has yet to select a candidate. Common sense will tell anybody that's the way they're going. The man that they criticized and they said he's the most striking.
Well, they have no common sense with that. If that was the case, why are they ain't gone so long ago?
No, you see, what they're doing is...
Your partner is being played. He's being played.
Yeah, right. They don't want to announce the candidate now, because elections is like the kind of the damage that would come about. They're trying to soften it. But you see, the mistake they're making is whether they do it now, 2 weeks before elections, 3 weeks before elections, the end result will be the same thing. So I will not be surprised. That's who they're going for. But that's their business. I'm not getting involved in the internal.
Okay, so let's move on. You have 1 minute.
I'm trying to save St. Lucia from the hands of the Labour Party. Could you imagine you have a cabinet of ministers? You have Kenny Anthony, Philip Suppler, you have your buddy in Central Castries. Could you imagine those guys working in cabinet? That is scary, brother Norbert and Minova. Very scary. And you and I, the three of us all know, and Solutions all know, that's not going to work. Because Buddy, your buddy here, he has a personality by himself. So, Senusha, we just have to protect our country from those guys, because the Labour Party, with their present configuration, they have no plan. As a matter of fact, the leader is clueless. Philippe J. You could imagine the guy cannot relate to nothing. Imagine
30 seconds.
Philippe J. is saying he doesn't go to supermarket. He cannot relate to the average poor person. So I'm just appealing to Senusha. Let us protect our country. And when the Prime Minister announces the general election date, go out in your large numbers, get your ID cards ready, and vote the UWP. Just protect Senusha, people. Thank you and good
Thank you very
program.
much. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Okay,
caller.
bye-bye.
Have a great day.
You know, I just got a message here, Minova. Got a message here.
It's Minerva.
Yeah, tell that guy that. And somebody's a little surprised at you. In fact, let me go over to this side here. I'll see it better. Somebody's a little surprised at you. And you see, that is the hypocrisy of people, that they want to demonize people. Call you all sorts of names. But when it's convenient to them, once you move over, you've been absolved. And somebody sent me a message here and says, why is Minova surprised at SLP candidate choices? Look at how someone was vilified and demonized, and they even wanted to prevent them from getting bail on rape charges or rape charges, right? Rape allegations against him. And once he moved over to them, he was baptized. With holy water and endorsed by them from the SLP River.
Absolutely. It's amazing to me, Norbert, when somebody goes across their side,
They're the
all
best
is
thing.
forgiven. They're the best thing. All their sins are washed away. They all of a sudden become white as snow. When anybody comes across the UWP side, they vilify, they demonize. I see Terrell Prudent, who's now endorsed by
Can
the
you believe that nonsense?
the man is being so attacked
They've
in the
launched.
most personal way.
Launched.
Yeah. But no, it's the same thing that happened to me, because I was once a Labour Party.
Oh,
so
how
Labour
dare
Party
you?
voter.
How dare you
When
move
I turned
away
my
from
back on the
them?
Labour Party after their failures in government, their failure for St. Lucia, man, I'm still going through it. The level of attack they launch on me, it's like they do it to everybody. Once you speak out against the Labour Party, as if you're not entitled to have your opinion or your personal views,
Yeah, you
you
must
become
be trolling.
demonized, you become vilified. They say the worst things about you. They make up stuff about you.
But
Is
it's
that
not.
how they expect to win an election, Norbert?
But it's not only individuals. Even if you're an agency or a government department,
Yeah.
if you're the statistics department, if
Yeah.
you're from the Ministry of Finance, the same officials that give them the numbers for their budgets and information
Yeah.
on their finances were professional. If you are from the meteorological department, meteorology, government Met Services, you can attack you once you say something that's different.
Oh, yeah.
If you are the CDB or the World Health Organization or the IMF or the government gave you all wrong information, or Shasne, they're doing that for Shasne, all kinds of nonsense. Nobody, no institution, no entity is immune from the attacks the moment the SLP decides that the information they're giving out is not in their favor.
Right.
It does not support the argument. You out for it.
Yeah.
Well, nadi wan bagay. Mape yo sadi sayovle na bayo. I speak the truth
Well, no, but
and I come
me
with the
too.
evidence.
Me too. I'm not afraid of them. Period. They can attack, they can insult, they can make up stuff. The water off my back.
I don't give a
Water
rat's
off my
patootie.
back. Okay, me too.
Keep
no, but-
going.
I keep saying that absent of plans, the Labour Party keep pushing a level of
Stand by.
propaganda.
Mhm.
Do you have a call?
We have a call. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's give you need to turn down your radio, caller.
Good morning, Mr.
You need to turn down your radio or your device.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Duff.
Morning. Let's keep
Yeah.
it real.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, I'm morning, Minova. Nice to hear your voice every morning. I wish I would hear that voice more often.
Oi.
Don't get jealous. Don't get
Thank
jealous.
you. Don't
my
make
friend.
Norbert too jealous now.
No. You don't get jealous. You know me, Nova is special on that radio.
Okay.
But what I want to tell Mr. Robert,
Yeah.
is not Labour, it's Deba.
Deba.
Deba. Not Labour. Deba party. It's Deba they put in the country.
Everywhere.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much.
And I say you and Minova.
Thank you very much. Have
Thank
a
you
great
so
day.
much, God.
All
Have
right.
a wonderful
Thank
one
you.
yourself. Okay. So, no, I would say in the absence of plans, there's a whole lot of propaganda. The campaigns and negative campaigning. So, no, but we saw the last couple of weeks they launched a campaign. It's didn't die down because everything they do it falls flat. It's like a hot Coke. You shake it and let's fizz, and then it falls flat.
Well
Boom.
said.
That's how the Labour Party activities are.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of weeks, we saw them trying this kind of thing about the Chastity trying to delay the elections. Chastity trying to delay the elections, hitting their mother pan, mashing up the poor lady pan, all over the place. Call elections now. Giving people the impression that the Prime Minister is using the state of emergency to delay the elections or to delay past what is constitutionally allowed. No, but we know there is no truth in that. The Prime Minister has made it abundantly clear. In fact, not just the Prime Minister. Like legally, the Prime Minister. First of all, the Prime Minister has no intention to delay the election past what is constitutionally allowed. There's no intention. There's no reason for him to. There's absolutely no intention for him to do it. Secondly, legally, he cannot do it. Legally, the Prime Minister cannot do the election beyond what is legally allowed.
Yeah.
There is no basis for the Labour Party to be pushing that propaganda in the space that the Prime Minister is trying to delay the election, trying to a power grab.
They want to distract you, that's all. Distract.
But we know why we need an SOE. It has to do with the response to COVID. It has nothing to do with delaying the election.
But a simple
One
question.
thing does not have to do with the other.
But a simple question. All the doom and gloom they have been predicting since last year when the state of emergency started off, and every time it has been renewed, has there been one instance, and I guarantee you that if there was, you'd be hearing it shouting from Mars.
Absolutely.
Has there been any infringement on anybody's rights through the state of emergency?
Not one.
Nada.
Not one. No, but from the time COVID was broke, we extended the state of emergency, I think, twice or a few times. And then there was the COVID bill at the end of September, in October.
COVID-19 Control and Prevention Act. Prevention and Control.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but every single time the government has extended the state of emergency, the Labour Party and its operatives have jumped up and kicked hell with the government, a power grab, these are dictator, blah, blah, blah. Have we seen or heard of one incident where the Prime Minister has used the state of emergency for anything outside the COVID response? None. No, but even their march of shame on October 4th, where they started community spread, there was no community spread before October 4th.
That's right.
Even their march of shame, where they called thousands out to protest
a
mass event in the middle of COVID to protest a bill, to protest legislation meant to keep St. Lucian safe.
Yeah, can you believe that?
And they threatened to take legal action against the bill. Have you heard of legal action against the bill, Norbert? You don't see these guys are fluff and bluff, Norbert?
Bluffers.
Ridiculous.
Bluffers.
Fool St. Lucian, made them believe, this is a dictatorship power grab. The Prime Minister doing that for 2 years. He's going to hold us to this. We can't do this. We can't do that. Is there anything, Norbert?
Nada.
Is there anything?
Nada.
Man, these guys are
ask me that again. Ask me that again.
Have we seen any action?
Nada.
Using the COVID Protection and Control and Prevention Act. Or any of the extensions of the state of emergency to do anything outside the Constitution. Nothing.
In their mind alone, they're making it up.
And protect COVID, to keep a curfew, and we know the curfew keeps the numbers reduced when people are not all over the place at night. There's to be certain controls right now, but like most countries have. Ontario is still on full lockdown. Yes, some countries who have had a better success with vaccination have been opening up slowly, but there are countries that are on full lockdown. Parts of Australia are going to lockdown again. You know, we need a legislation. COVID is not over. We need a legislation to keep people safe, to have certain controls. It has nothing to do with elections. Even if elections were the next 4 years or next 3 years, there would still be a state of emergency to respond to COVID. What is so hard to understand about that? But the Labour Party, in the absence of being able to put forward sensible plans for the country, they have had to fill the space with propaganda, lies, negativity, to create a state of confusion and chaos in the minds of the people, you know, to create a state of panic. But the other one we saw some stupid lab rat comments. Stupid. Lord Jesus Christ. No, but let me read about it. So your friend, Buddy, and others have been pushing this narrative that the government is trying to use St. Lucians as lab rats.
That nonsense. Yeah.
This is what the Prime Minister said. We've been saying to companies, and the Prime Minister was speaking about, and this is the context of where we had not received all the vaccine supply we have right now. We were trying to get vaccines. We know that there was a global shortage. There were supply chain issues which caused shortages on the world market. Bigger countries than us were trying to get vaccines. It's almost like we had to put forward a case for us to be prioritized for vaccines.
But one thing, but if I can interject, what everybody needs to realize, I think it's important to know, is that every country in the world has gotten their vaccine or has gotten vaccines, and every country in the world is trying to get more to vaccinate their people. So let's go on.
Right. So at the time, and we have to talk about the context and the time of which his statements were made. So we are putting forward a case for St. Lucia to be prioritized for us to get those vaccines. PM said, we've been saying to companies we've been speaking to, look, we're small enough that you can use us as a sample. As a sample. In other words, an example to determine what is herd immunity. Right? And up to now, still, countries have not decided what level exactly is herd immunity. PM said, is it 50% of your population? Is it 60% of your population? Is it 70% of our population? And because of our size, we can get to where we can get 50% of our population vaccinated very quickly and see what the effects are. And that will give other countries the confidence that they can do this. And what the result potentially can be. And he's speaking about herd immunity.
But go ahead, keep reading.
I'm saying to you as a government, we are trying every avenue to justify and get the additional vaccines. That's what occupies the majority of my time. And again, that was before St. Lucia and the rest of the Caribbean started to get the vaccine supply. On the world market, yet countries like Canada that had paid for vaccines from the time before vaccines were even created could not get vaccines. We paid from the time companies got a license to produce vaccines. Canada, with all its billions of dollars, had paid for prepaid for vaccines and could not get. The PM was trying to make a case for St. Lucia. He was saying we are small enough.
But remember,
we can quickly get to 50% of vaccinated our population to reach herd immunity. So other countries can use St. Lucia as an example of what you can do in terms of reopening gradually, etc., of what it would look like when a country achieves herd immunity.
But remember,
tell me what in that statement, go on.
Remember all the hoopla. Oh, look at St. Lucia. St. Lucia can't get vaccines for itself. Barbados have to donate. Dominica has to donate. Where are our vaccines? How our Prime Minister can't get vaccines for St. Lucia? Mais à présent, nous ni vaccines, nous ka try faire by pour sauver Saint-Lucien. They want to use us as lab rats. Ignorant. Stupidness.
Who you? I can't do that level of ridiculousness of a Labour Party, you know. It hurts my head. It hurts every part of my being. Put forward some sensible arguments, man. Lab rats. And Richard, you in that nonsense, Richard Frederick, you push that stupidity, Richard. Lab rats. That making sense to you?
Eh tout le monde c'est lab rat.
Talk some sense, man.
Kenny c'est un lab rat.
Talk some sense, Richard.
Honest c'est un lab rat. Philippe J. c'est un lab rat. Tout le monde a laté à point injection là, yo c'est lab rat. I mean, this ignorance has to stop in St. Lucia. And some of the people you see regurgitating this nonsense, supposed to be smarter than that, man.
people you expect to know better. No, but I mean, if you have something reasonable or sensible to criticize the government on, feel free to do that. That's what the opposition is there for. But when you're making up stupidity and perpetuating ignorance in the minds of St. Lucia, where in that says that we have to think about lab rats? What in that statement suggests the Prime Minister is trying to use St. Lucian as lab rats? Instead, these same people use their platforms to encourage people to go out and get vaccinated. A lot of them push an anti-vaccine message. A lot of them. That's why we are not at a level of herd immunity yet. That's why we're going to be delaying getting the country reopened. That's why, because you know what, Norbert, once we can get to that stage and we can start reopening, our economy is going to start recovering.
Since St. Lucia,
right?
Since St. Lucia is a small country, about the smallest in the world, the islands, their populations. You have a country like Canada with what? 30-something million, 40 million people.
Yeah.
You have the
almost,
US with 330 plus million people. Obviously, if you look at what is happening in St. Lucia, and we have the vaccines here to vaccinate, it's going to be much quicker for St. Lucia to achieve herd immunity with whatever percentage of 180,000 than a country with 330 million people,
exactly,
than the UK, than Germany, than Spain. So obviously,
and that's the point the Prime Minister is making.
That's the point.
Yep.
That's the point. Because every one of those other countries as well have their vaccine program on the way. They have vaccines. They're trying to get vaccines. So it's not like St. Lucia is the only place in the world and everybody is watching. Let's see how many people die over there. Let's see what's happening with them. They're not experimenting on us. Everybody else is giving their people vaccines because of this global pandemic. But of course, the brain boxes out there will try to spin it and tell people nonsense, endangering people's lives, giving people bad information, bad advice that will ultimately lead to their own demise. I saw a comment yesterday. Oh, but if you take the vaccine already and I don't take it, why are you worried? You got the vaccine already. You should be all right. The vaccine is not a cure. It boosts your immunity and prevents you or minimizes significantly the risk of you becoming seriously ill or dying.
Exactly.
But you still have to observe the protocols. You can still spread it. What about your grandparent at home or somebody who's vulnerable? That's why they ask all of these people to take the vaccine. But the possibility still exists that it can have detrimental effects to people who get infected. And that's what you want to prevent. Precaution, is better than cure. Well, the cure in this case might be death. But all kind of nonsense, kind of excuses and statements being made by people who are supposed to be smarter. We have a call. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Norbert.
Morning, sir.
I want to let you know that Barbados is 94% ahead with the vaccine.
What's the percentage?
94.
They're 94% vaccine.
Yes, so herd immunity, they can take it from Barbados.
Yeah.
When they say us, they mean Barbados also.
Yeah, well, wherever. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I heard that in the news yesterday.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, caller.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great day. Well, there you go.
But no, but you have to look at the level of education of the populations as well. You know, honestly, when you see the level of ignorance in St. Lucia being perpetuated by people like by certain talk shows, you know, when you listen to the level of ignorance being pushed on certain talk shows, and people have been calling on the Minister of Broadcasting to do something about it, but the level of ignorance being pushed, Barbados is a much more educated population.
Oh, absolutely.
Much more educated. And that's a problem we're suffering from St. Lucia. Too much ignorance. The lack of education, we're suffering from it.
Yeah.
When you have people who are supposed to know better, listening to these talk shows as a source of information, not doing any research for themselves, not watching international news, not reading, what do you expect?
And they have no shame to say that, you know. I don't watch the news.
Shame.
I don't watch the news.
Yeah, yeah, nonsense. But on a Thursday, you're glued into your TV, listening, spewing toxic garbage, ignorance. A lot of nonsense being spewed on those stations.
Good morning, you on the air. Let's keep it real.
Morning, Norbert.
Morning, how are you?
I heard Miniva mention about, what's his name, Cyril Prudence, how they attack him. Cyril Prudent was UWP.
Yeah.
He was maybe
his own
he was
party.
not happy.
Yeah.
He formed his own party.
Yeah.
It didn't survive. He switched his allegiance to the SLP.
Yeah.
And he found that maybe the performance of the UWP, he came back home.
Yeah.
But there's a former Minister of Health who was UWP, was taken to court by the SLP for the fraud in state funds, and now he's in the bosom of the SLP, and it's okay.
Oh, on the platform.
It's okay. It's okay for them.
He's baptized, according to Norbert, he's baptized in the SLP River.
That's right.
All his sins are washed away.
All his
He's as
sins are
white
washed
as snow now.
But yesterday in Shazzy calling station and trying and damn, Clement Prudent is a man of integrity. He was never taken to court for the defrauding state funds.
Yeah.
He cannot come back to the but Mondays it's okay for Mondays. They themselves took him to court, and he's not with them, and it's okay.
But you see, caller, that even goes to the statements of Dr. Kenny Anthony about tainted and compromised.
Yeah.
Tainted and compromised, where you have people who have been arrested, who've been charged for offenses, and yet still they want to make those claims against people who have absolutely nothing against their record.
Nothing against their record.
But they will embrace those who they themselves were hell-bent on demonizing and destroying and taking to the courts and wanting you to go through the entire system. Lablani you.
That's the nature of the beast.
That's why they don't want you to talk about the past, man, because the past shows everything. The hypocrisy. Bluffers.
Well, the past will always, we need to remember our past so that we can determine our future.
That's right.
Have a good day.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks, caller. Boy, no, but speaking of the past, I hear you have a bombshell to drop tonight, boy.
I have two. 2 bombshells tonight.
No, but I have my popcorn ready.
Well,
I am
better.
waiting for those bombshells.
Let me tell you something.
Speaking of the past.
Like never before you're going to see it tonight. Never before. Okay? Never before. I encourage all to tune in tonight. 8:30 on Hot 7 TV, channel 117. The past? The past. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yes, me again.
Yeah. Make it quick.
Shafi talking about SLP's paying monies and stuff, that the promoters paying monies. I'm saying to Shafi, you better go get some of that money. Because the hand that's feeding you, you bite it off. So Michael Shaw said you better go pay the man is $66,000. If else so Michael will take you to court. And you want to crucify the man's son for nothing? You got your audacity and do talk crap about the man's son? I will take it backside to court. I tell you that right now. Go and get some of that money, man. And see if you have yourself clear your bill of $66,000, Shaji.
All right. Thank you very much, caller. Okay. Calling people names like that. You can say that differently. I talked to you already, you know. I'm going to have to put you on a little moratorium. On a little cool-off period. Okay? You can say things without getting to that level. You know, on Keeping It Real, we don't encourage that kind of thing around here. Right? Okay. Right. Even though the person may be as detestable as ever, you have to maintain a certain level of sycamore and equilibrium. Yes, so you were saying, Minerva.
The other thing.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, somebody said, hey, let me just go through this quick. A message from somebody a little early after 6. Good morning. I just want to say a special birthday greeting to my father, Chase, my stepdaughter's boyfriend, Andrew, my uncle Benji, and to you, Norbert. Happy birthday to you all. God bless. And we have a number of messages there. You want to take in some messages, Minerva?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, let's take in some messages. Mr. Guy Joseph has revealed the devil behind the minister's account under the watch of the Honorable Sean Edward. It appears that this was a campaign account. Well, we'll find out. Good morning, Norbert and Minerva. This elections is bringing out the worst in the SLP. No vision, no plans, violent rhetoric with racial undertones, and a power-hungry ambition. 2 seats still empty, and talk of possibly shuffling to others. Yet Labour says that they are ready. What a big joke. If they cannot run a party, they believe Lucian's dotish and stupid to give them a country to mash up like in 79? Norbert, you are so right. In Jamaica, political figures who had their American visas revoked or under threat, I repeat, under threat, all had to disappear from the national political scene. Apparently, only in St. Lucia does someone lose their American visa and jump into the political arena. Well, where is that person or that party going? Is that our standards? Is it that our standards are so questionable? Next one. Good morning. Just remember, Richard Frederick said publicly that he hired the best lawyers from the USA to get his visa back. And he even said that he was suing the US government. I just want to know something about that case. Just imagine you, a member of St. Lucia Parliament, and you're taking legal action against the US government. Well, there's nothing wrong about legal action. You know, anybody can take action against the government, any government, as long as you have the right. But, you know, the thing is, nobody can, how can I put this, guarantee you a visa to go to any country. If a country decides that you are not going to get a visa, it is their right to allow you to come to their country or not. There's absolutely nothing that you can do about that. If St. Lucia decides that it doesn't want Joe Blow to come to St. Lucia, there is absolutely nothing that any government can do to allow you to come into St. Lucia. The only people who have a right to come to St. Lucia are St. Lucian citizens. That is it. Anybody else, it is at the whims and fancies or at the discretion of the government. If St. Lucia wants to ban a Canadian, someone from Germany, from Hong Kong or whatever, St. Lucia can do that, and there's absolutely nothing that anybody can do about it. Likewise, the US can stop or revoke a visa to anyone from any country, and there's nothing you can do about that. Okay? You can go to court. Anybody can go to court. If you have money to spend and to waste, to throw away, you can do that. They don't have to give any justification for anything. Waste of time. But some people think that they can manipulate and do whatever they want. I used to be a strong supporter. Good morning. Well, let me start from the first message. Good morning, Norbert and Minerva. Not sure if Menisa has enough courage to run against Guy Joseph. Seeing is believing. Didn't she end up in hospital the last time she lost? I used to be a strong supporter of the SLP until 2000, when George Oldham told them, put your ears to the ground and listen to the people. Kenny Anthony, in his first speech as Prime Minister, in both Creole and English, really pretended to know what he was about, but his true colors came out soon after. I hope they stay out for at least another 10 years. Oh, messages just start flying in now. Let me see this one here. Okay, so let's go to this one. Why are you guys surprised? Haven't you both realized that the Labour Party is a cult? The fact that the opposition members took the vaccine, I guess it would be correct to say that they subjected themselves to be lab rats to protect themselves, of course, whereas they want their supporters to believe they are being used as lab rats. Pathetic. In fact, folks, there are some well-known people, who actually took the vaccine. Actually took on camera and everything. Made the news, took the vaccine. Money pot way of yo. And they're I tell you, they're advising or encouraging people to ivermectin. Why you all didn't go and take ivermectin? Boy, I tell you, in this country, boy, I tell you, Good morning, lady and gentlemen. I would like you all to address Philip J. Pierre's statement on Blazing FM about how he will pay for the tax cuts. He didn't say how he'll pay. He hasn't said that yet.
Franny asked him about 4 times. Up to now, he hasn't answered.
Every time he
He's been
switched.
asking that up to now. Nobody, Philippe hasn't responded to that question at all. How are you going to pay for those tax cuts and all the freeness you want to give to everybody? How, Philippe? How? Where is the money coming from? We have a money tree shaking?
Next message. Mr. Guy Joseph has revealed okay, I read that. That's another message from that same person. Don't underestimate the SLP. They took somebody who was accused of rape after his situation with the courts and won. Yeah, okay, all right. Okay. Next message. Mr. Williams, SLP will never endorse Buddy because they were the ones who went to the U.S. Embassy for Buddy. The SLP knows for a fact that if they endorse Buddy, the Americans watching, and you know the U.S. revoked visas on 3 accounts. Okay. Folks, some time ago, one of the first shows I had on TV for Keeping It Real, moving from radio, I actually played the video where Buddy said that he would not want his worst enemy to go through what those guys put him through. I'll have to find it again. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Something I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. You know what the Labour Party is doing right now? I heard somebody called Dr. Secret's show yesterday, and a young lady, and she said she got from reliable source that they're encouraging people from Southeast Castries.
Caller. I ain't going for this third party and hearsay kind of thing. This person heard that person. That's not presenting any evidence to me. I will not allow that. I deal with real information.
We need to look into the fact that there's information circling that they're encouraging people to register in different constituencies.
Well, that has constantly been the talk, and it's the responsibility of the political parties to make sure that shenanigans like that don't happen. There's always been talk of that. In the current environment, there continues to be talk of those sort of things, and you have to keep your eyes open. That's why you have your campaigners. That's why you have your verification of the voters list. That's why there is the facility online by the electoral department that people can go and check their names to see that the polling station and the constituency is correct and as it should be. And this is the responsibility of the candidates themselves to verify the list. And that's what happens every election. And if you are deficient in that, and if people succeed in doing that, well, that's the case.
Well, I'm just putting it out there that our party needs to be vigilant, because you see, the point I'm making is that this St. Lucia Labour Party will do absolutely anything to win this election. And as we keep saying, as the weeks and the months get closer and the days get closer to the election, desperation is already kicking in, and it will kick in more. So I'm just saying our party needs to be vigilant. Watch those things, because you have situations where droves of people coming from Martinique and were able to vote last minute, all these kind of shenanigans. So we have to be very vigilant.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. That's not a shenanigan. St. Lucians can come in to vote from wherever. If they're entitled to vote, if the electoral department accepts their vote, then it's a vote. So nobody has an advantage over anybody else. Their supporters can come from wherever they come in from to vote. Okay? Yeah. I'm not demonizing anybody in the diaspora. I've traveled, I've come to St. Lucia around elections time, just like other people have, because they want to exercise their franchise. They want to see their country, and that they don't only contribute by sending money via Western Union or sending barrels. Because what your government does in your country, even if you're outside, affects you, whether directly or indirectly through your relatives, in what type of support you have to give and everything else. So I'm not demonizing anybody from coming from anywhere to vote. It's their right. If they're allowed by the electoral department, then all is fair and square. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Yeah, good morning, Mr.
Morning, sir.
And Eva, what's happening?
Good morning.
Good show this morning. Good show.
Thank you.
Norbert, I have problems with certain guys calling talk show and always want to criticize people. Norbert, you could recall a few years ago, I'm not sure if you were in St. Lucia, and all those reggae stars used to come to St. Lucia to perform.
Yeah.
You remember that very well?
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to make $1. And I against that, because that's what it is. Everybody into the reggae field, they want to see a certain superstar. And you yourself, Norbert, could have even be a promoter, right or wrong, if you wanted to go in that field.
Yeah, sure.
But you recall a certain guy that always calling all radio stations, criticizing the government, this, that, taking monies, and all kind of thing like that, criticizing this government. But you recall he brought down a certain superstar, okay? And he didn't pay the man, and that went viral all over the media. You know, St. Lucia need to know all these things, you know. Because when people call in radio stations and pointing finger at everybody, you know, and people had paid for the show, and this individual didn't even pay, you know, the reggae star. So at the end of the day, you have a ticket and you go into an empty stage. You're not going to an empty stadium, you know. You go into a stadium where you have a stage and the star is not coming to perform. Could you believe that? And these guys want to call all radio stations and go after people and say people this, that, and the other, and money's there. And could you believe that? But I don't mention names because the caller knows himself. And I want him to respond because I have the evidence where he did that. And a number of St. Lucians knew that because when that went viral on the airwaves and they were going after him, he finally paid the guy. Could you believe that, man? And you want to come now and make it look like this government doing all kind of crookedness, this, that, and... Nah, man, I don't accept that. But no, but one thing I must say, your buddy guy, I recall when the visa was revoked. Man, that's the first time I see big men, you know, were like babies because I could have seen the chairs coming down. And what happened to the individual, what he really missed, you know, it's coming again, you know, but we're in a pandemic. The Labor Day was his thing, you know.
Well, caller, I ain't really interested in that. I don't care about that. Let's
so
stick
when
with the...
people feel that they could go after people, they cannot go after people. The point I want to make, you want to criticize people, you understand? You want to go in the political arena. You want people to vote you. Huh? How, if you get in there, how could you represent me at the U.S., the Americas, to go negotiate, to try to get things in St. Lucia? You cannot. You understand? Leave that alone. Because as far as I'm concerned, I am satisfied with the United Workers' Party because of what they are doing, the way they bring this country forward. And some people do not want to see it because they're against a certain individual. They're just trying to see if they could make a case to bring down the man. But the truth of the matter is, they will get the biggest beating in their life. And the time is not long, not too long to go. The time will come, and the people of St. Lucia will vote the United Workers' Party, and the Labour Party will be in the wilderness for the next 50 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you.
Thank you, boy.
Okay, I want to, I want to move a little bit to a discussion which was raised yesterday. And, you know, I have very little tolerance. I have no tolerance for this racism and xenophobia in whatever form that it comes. And if people misguidedly want to refer to foreigners as white people as foreigners, black people can be foreigners too. Indians can be foreigners. Anybody who is not a St. Lucian citizen is a foreigner. And where this all came up yesterday is from a caller who called in via WhatsApp from Toronto. Toronto. Those of you who said about white people, these foreigners, and I was trying to make the point to this caller that it's not only white people who are foreigners, and the discussion was in the whole marijuana context, that we cannot allow white people to come to St. Lucia to get involved in the cultivation of marijuana. Now, I don't really care. It's against the law now. That's what the law says. If the government, and whichever government it is, it doesn't make a difference. The law is the law. There is no SLP law and UWP law. The law is the law. If this government decides to decriminalize marijuana, that's the law. I don't have a problem with that. That's the law of the land. There are many things that were law before that eventually or later on down the road are removed from the books. There are many things that are law that become amended and are made more stringent. It's all what happens. But I want St. Lucians to realize, because some people are of the delusion that the decriminalization of marijuana is just going to be a free-for-all. In fact, the people who have been the proponents at the forefront of this have said that it does not mean the decriminalizing of marijuana. The legalizing of marijuana. Decriminalizing will have certain stipulations that you're allowed a certain amount. It doesn't mean that you could have a container load of marijuana to export. And one of the things that people need to realize as well is that just because you may be able to plant marijuana doesn't automatically give you a market. Who are you going to ship to? Is it legal to ship to those countries now? You know, these are the questions you have to ask. How does that relate to banking, the transfer of funds, money laundering, which is on the books right now? Because even though, for example, even though marijuana may be legal in Amsterdam right now, you still can't export it from St. Lucia. Just like somebody was saying the other day, they wanted to export 50 pounds of marijuana to St. Vincent, to the Rastas down there for the sacrament. You know, that was a classic example or textbook example of exactly what I'm saying. That because, you know, you may have a particular good intention, or because it may be legal somewhere else, or that they're not paying attention to it, that you could just up and go and export it or ask people for permission. It doesn't work like that. Now, I want people to consider, you see, because a lot of people don't go into the nitty-gritty. I like to dig and ask the pertinent questions. Isn't St. Lucia a member of the CSME? Isn't St. Lucia a member of the OACS? So,
we are.
Right. Doesn't St. Lucia have a CIP program?
Yes.
Doesn't Dominica and Antigua and Grenada and whoever they are have CIP programs? And under the CSME, doesn't a citizen of Dominica have all the rights to come to St. Lucia, to set up shop, to live, stay here as long as they want without hindrance? Because St. Lucia is signatory to a treaty, to agreements within the region. Now, a lot of people have been talking about, oh, we have so many Chinese here. I don't know how many Chinese we have here, but it doesn't seem to be overwhelming to me. But what we fail to realize is that if the measures in Dominica are not as stringent as St. Lucia, or if it is more economical for you to get citizenship by the Citizenship Investment Program, you can go to Dominica and become a citizen of Dominica, and guess what? Immediately, you can come to St. Lucia.
Right to St. Lucia.
So how many of those here? Exactly. So how many of those here?
The right to set up business, the right to buy property,
That
the
is
right to work.
Right? So let me read here to you. I like to keep it real. Because some people want to talk, oh, this should be reserved for St. Lucians and all of that. Folks, we in a region, Lapan St. Lucians are called CSME. So let me read to you. In fact, let me just read here. Okay, let me just read here. Because we face a number of situations in CARICOM where we talk about protectionist measures to safeguard countries and how there is so much uproar in the region to the point that our whole CARICOM thing has gotten to the point on numerous occasions of collapsing because Trinidad is protecting its manufacturers, or St. Lucia is protecting this what, or they have, you know, there's, folks, we need to make ourselves aware of what is happening in the world and what is happening in our region, what we are party to. So, we talk about the CARICOM Treaty. So let me read here to you. Economic enterprise. There's definition for a number of terms there so you understand what it means. An economic enterprise is any type of organization for the production of or the trade in goods or the provision of services other than a non-profit organization owned or controlled by a national of a member state. That's what economic enterprise is.
Read that again, Norbert.
Any type of organization for the production of or the trade in goods or the provision of services other than a non-profit organization owned or controlled by a national of a member state. That's what economic enterprise means. Or B, an agency, branch, or subsidiary of such enterprise of a national of a member state. Now, what is a member state of CARICOM? A member state means a member state of the community listed in Schedule 1. Now, let's go to Schedule 1. Well, before we get to that, what does a national mean? The meaning of national means a person who, listen well, is a citizen of a member state. It doesn't say how you became a citizen. A citizen is a citizen because once you become a citizen, you have all the rights. If you're naturalized, if you have a wife who's from Timbuktu, once she becomes a citizen, you have all the rights as any other citizen of St. Lucia, Dominica, whatever. If you have a child that was born in St. Lucia and is a St. Lucia citizen, that child has all the rights. You don't have half rights. You don't have some rights and not others. The Constitution does not identify half a citizen. You're a citizen of St. Lucia. That's it. So let's go on. What does a national mean? Is a citizen of a member state. B, has a connection with a member state of the kind which entitles that person to be regarded as belonging to, or if it be so expressed, as being native or resident of that member state for the purposes of the laws of that member state relating to immigration. So immigration say you can be naturalized, that you the child of a St. Lucian citizen, blah, blah, blah. You understand what I'm saying. C, is a company, listen to this now, folks, is a company or other legal entity constituted in a member state in accordance with the laws of that member state and which that member state regards as belonging to it. If that company or other legal entity has been formed for gainful purposes and has its registered office and central administration and carries on substantial activity within the member state and is substantially owned and effectively controlled by persons mentioned in paragraphs A and B. A company is a person, you know, for a lot of people who don't understand that. So let's go to what Schedule 1 is. And remember, it is an agency, branch, or subsidiary, blah, 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 blah. Let me get it there, A member state means a member state of the community listed in Schedule 1. And this is the Caribbean Community Movement of Factors Act 2017 as Act 21 of 2006. Now let's read what is Schedule 1. Come on, Schedule 1. Okay. Member states: Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Belize, Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Christopher and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago. So les autres ouais moun ka vini set list hier kou di, eh Triniki la, he said just vini si a ouvert business. You can do the same in their country.
Norbert.
Yes.
Norbert.
Yes.
Duly noted. All of that is duly noted. But on the flip side of it, and I'm just putting it out there, like I said yesterday, and we've had a discussion offline, I'm going to say it again, because I need to register my thoughts on the matter. I think all of what you said, notwithstanding, I agree with everything you said. You know, a citizen of St. Lucia, there's OECS, there's CSNE, we've signed on to some international trade treaties like the WTO, etc. I get all of that. A citizen who comes to a CIP program is entitled to the same rights as a citizen born in St. Lucia. Somebody who acquires a CIP who gains Dominican citizenship through their CIP program that doesn't have the checks and balances that ours has, they can come and set up business, buy land, do anything a St. Lucian basically can, maybe except to vote. I get all of what you're saying. But on the flip side of that, I also understand what the person who sent the message in from Canada was saying yesterday. And I will explain again. You feel free to agree or disagree with me. I understand what she's saying, and it's something that needs to be considered. We have, as St. Lucians, marijuana has been criminalized for a long time. We've had people who have produced marijuana who have ended up in jail, who are in jail, who have criminal records and so on. There is certain sentimentality around the whole marijuana discussion. Hear me clearly. There's certain sentimentality and emotionalism around that discussion. That now the world is moving. I shouldn't say the world. Like obviously Canada, Amsterdam it's legal in Amsterdam. Canada has decriminalized it. The U.S. certain places is moving towards that. The Caribbean is moving towards that. There is now an opportunity. The size and scale of the opportunity is to be determined. I totally hear what you're saying. Not because you produce something, it means the market is there. The market needs to be developed. We're talking about economies of scale. We're talking about, do we have a competitive advantage to export marijuana international? I get all of that discussion. I get it. But on the flip side of it, understand too, there are a lot of St. Lucians who believe within the constraints, within the limits of the international trade treaties that we have signed onto, within the limits of our citizenship programs, you know, both for us and for the OECS sister countries, within the limits of things like OECS and CSNE, within those limits, are there opportunities for protectionist measures to an extent to keep the part of the industry or the whole industry, the production of it, for St. Lucians? I do not know the answer to that question. That's beyond my scope. That's for the international trade experts. That's for the technocrats to tell us. I don't know the answer. But I think it's a discussion and a thought process we need to have. Right? I think that by and large, there are people who believe, and I also believe that I would hate to see multinational companies come into St. Lucia. I don't see that happening because really and truly we can't produce marijuana to that size of scale. But I would like to see certain elements of that industry retained for St. Lucia within the parameters of the trade treaties we have signed on to and within what is legal.
So
I think that's what that person was saying from Toronto, and I understand her perspective.
Right. So I don't have a problem with that. But a very important factor that a lot of people are overlooking, and it has to be considered, is the rule of law.
Right.
And marijuana or anything else is not going to have a free skate just because. Now, marijuana is not only grown in St. Lucia. is in St. Vincent, in Grenada to a certain extent, in Trinidad, in all of the member states that I listed here. All of them. So it's not anything exceptional. So let's go to part 2 of that CARICOM legislation here that I was reading. Right of establishment. Number 5, section 5. Subject to this act. Listen to the law, that the rule of law that St. Lucia is party to. Subject to this act, a national of a member state, and I call out the member states, shall enjoy the right of establishment in St. Lucia without discrimination on the grounds of nationality. Now, here's the important factor which relates to what you were saying. Section 6, exclusion or restriction in industry. Now this is, it's very clear, but this is where the complications can arise. Despite any provision to the contrary in this act, Cabinet may determine that the public interest requires the exclusion or restriction of the right of establishment in an industry or a particular section of an industry, and may by order published in the Gazette specify the exclusion or restriction. 2. An order under this section may specify conditions for the operation of any government or private sector monopoly created by the exclusion or restriction in this order. Now, that's all well and good, and it speaks specifically about protecting, that's protectionism.
Yeah.
But we have seen major problems to the point where the whole foundation of CARICOM is shaken because individual countries within CARICOM have established protectionist measures for their own manufacturers or producers. And what I'm saying here is that we have to be very, this is what I said yesterday, that a lot of people think, I didn't get that recording. A lot of people think that you're just going to say, legalize marijuana, just write a two sentence thing or whatever, and marijuana is legalized and you can produce and you can do it. There are a lot of legislation. There is a lot of legislation on the books, treaties, agreements that come into play. And not just come into play. You can protect whoever you want, but what is the retaliation going to be? And it may not be retaliation in the same business. Oh, well, you want to squeeze our soft drink manufacturers from exporting to Trinidad or wherever. I'm just using that as an example. Well, we're going to squeeze your pillowcases, or we're going to squeeze whatever else you produce in retaliation. And that happens all the time between the US and Canada, or you increase tariffs, you know. So this can become a problem which is not only related to marijuana. Suppose a Jamaican company that's producing their Blue Mountain marijuana or whatever oils, whatever. Number one, Jamaica is much larger than St. Lucia. The farms that you can have in Jamaica will dwarf anything we can have in St. Lucia. You know what that means?
Absolutely.
That means that the marijuana oils or whatever, the scale of production.
Yeah, the economies of scale. Yeah,
that's right.
For sure.
Means that they're going to be able to produce cheaper than you. So suppose this company now, which is fully Jamaican or Haitian or Surinamese or Trinidadian, decides that they're going to come to St. Lucia. Kisa ukaife. So the government...
And even beyond marijuana, that's a challenge for agriculture overall for St. Lucia. We simply, there isn't any crop that I know of that we can produce with the economies of scale
to compete on price.
To compete. There simply isn't. To compete on price. Exactly. We may compete on quality, but we certainly can't compete on price. We're producing at too small a scale. Even if we introduce technology to it, we don't have the size. There's not a competitive advantage to make us internationally competitive for any one thing.
So let me read something here for you.
On marijuana.
Okay, let me tell you what that is. The Companies Act, okay? And it has a schedule as well, and it describes. Let me just read this there for you. These are the countries from which citizens can register companies in St. Lucia. No problem at all. That can be done. You can walk in from St. Vincent, get off the plane, and register a company in St. Lucia. No problem. It is the law. A lot of people don't know these things. Let me tell you the countries, the member states that can do that in St. Lucia. Citizens of these member states: Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Belize, from the British Virgin Islands, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, Montserrat, St. Christopher and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, the Bahamas, and Trinidad and Tobago. Affirmative resolution. The amendment to the list of member states in the schedule to the Act made under the order is affirmed by resolution of Parliament contained in statutory instrument number 118 of, you want to know what year that was? 2014. Minister responsible for legal affairs, Victor P. Lacorbinier. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, I'm just giving you context.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So by virtue of this act, any citizen from any of those countries can come to St. Lucia today and walk into whatever government ministry it is and register a company. No questions asked. Once you provide the identification to show that you are a citizen of any one of those countries, you can do that and set up shop in St. Lucia. Nobody can ask you any questions. So folks, all of this thing that people talking about, oh, these people just come here and Dominicans this and this, that. It's the law. And likewise, you can leave St. Lucia and go to St. Vincent or Dominica or Suriname or Trinidad and do the same.
Right.
So this thing about foreigners, and I never live nowhere and I only have passport is nonsense.
Yeah. No, but I'm just conscious of time, that we don't have a lot of time.
Okay.
There's something I want to go to on the whole ECC article that came out. You know, people are probably wanting to put in some calls as well.
That's right.
But I think that's an important discussion, what the points you brought up and the information you came with. And I suggest that maybe you could bring an international trade specialist on the show, someone from the cannabis. Yeah, it's a good discussion to have. And I think people need to be educated on from all angles on the discussion. I just want to go into that whole, again, Labour Party filling the air with their propaganda and pushing certain things under the disguise of legitimacy. And I want to read, this is from an economist who has sent me this information. So we saw the ECCB has put out a report for all of their member states, And we've seen that an operator of the Labour Party has taken that ECCB report and has cherry-picked parts of it, all in aim to try to create a crisis in the minds of St. Lucians. You know, they cherry pick the parts that are most convenient for them, twist it, you know, say things that the ECCB never said in their report, right? Put it in a website to make it look like a legitimate news site. And they do it all the time. Basically, somebody's opinion, you put it on a website, it looks like a legitimate news site, and all of a sudden, people run with it as if it's gospel. When it's just simply somebody's opinion, somebody cherry-picking, somebody their agenda, selecting which facts that are convenient for their narrative and for their agenda, and running with it. So this is what an economist has sent to me about this whole ECCB thing. The article commenting on the ECCB's 2020 Annual Economic and Financial Review is disingenuous and intellectually dishonest. Through a selective account and convenient interpretation, it sought to cause panic and anxiety about the near future. It is notable that it does so just before an election. The reason for the notable difference in the extent of the contraction in St. Lucia's economy in 2020 compared to the OECS is because St. Lucia's GDP series was rebased to 2018. And we know that countries do that periodically. There's nothing wrong with rebasing your GDP. So when you rebase your GDP, the base figure changes.
Yeah.
So it puts the figures off. Your decline may seem sharper than it is. Your growth may seem sharper.
You want to break that down? You want to break that down? Let me just make it a simple process. Folks, if you make $100 today, I'm just giving an example so you understand the figures.
Right.
If you earn $100 and your bills are $25, your debt to GDP is all that you're taking in, and the $25 is your debt. I'm just using that as an example.
Okay, yeah.
Then it means that your debt, what you owe to what you're taking in, is 25%.
25%.
Okay?
Right.
If for some reason you've been getting money from a little shop, or you're selling bakes on a Sunday, and you never calculated that, and you decided to rebase or to recalculate, and you figure, wait, well, I'm actually making $200 now. Your $25 or your 25% is no longer 25%, it's now 12.5%, because all what you're getting in has doubled. The same way, if you start taking in less, then if you start taking in $50 now, you have bad times, your business closed down, you had a fire, whatever, and you're only making $50 now, then that $25, your debt to GDP, is no longer 25%, it's now 50%.
It's now 50%. Right.
Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
And it's not because of bad management or anything that you did, just because different considerations, it changed what that percentage was.
So your base denominator changes.
Yeah.
That's all it is. A rebase, there's nothing unusual about rebasing. It happens. Countries do it when certain factors change.
Okay.
As part of the rebasing exercise, so St. Lucia was the only country that rebased its GDP to 2018, while all the other OECS countries are still using 2006 as their base year. As part of this rebasing exercise, the new system of national accounting, which St. Lucia is using, assigns a greater weight to tourism activity, which largely has been inadequately measured and underreported under the old system. So the rebased figure has a higher weighting for tourism. Previously, the 2006 figure was underreported. Tourism was underreported in that GDP-based figure. As a result, any shock to country which disproportionately affects the tourism sector, COVID being one of those shocks, for example, terrorist activities would be another, global financial crisis would be another, will be amplified more in St. Lucia's case than will be the case in other OECS islands that measure value added in the tourism sector using the 2006 or old national accounting system, which uses a measure for tourism that assigns a lower weight to tourism.
And why is that? Because tourism is a bigger factor in our economy. So if it gets impacted, it's going to impact the numbers bigger.
So if you have a base figure that has a higher weighting for tourism, exactly, if there's a decline in tourism for any reason like COVID. 9/11 is another example, you will see a greater decline because there's a greater weighting for tourism in that base. In brief, the GDP numbers and growth rates for the OECS countries cannot be compared at this time, only after the other states themselves have completed the rebasing exercise. So in other words, if we were to compare the GDP numbers with other OECS countries with St. Lucia, it would be a case of comparing apples and oranges. So our GDP figure was rebased, the others weren't. Ours was rebased for higher weighting for tourism, theirs weren't. That is why we will see a bigger contraction in 2020, obviously because of COVID. Obviously.
So let me give another example.
One second, Norbert. Yeah. One second. Conversely, when after the world has moved past COVID and we now see a recovery in tourism, and tourism is booming, could be booming across all the islands, if the other islands have not rebased and have that higher weighted figure for tourism, conversely, we will also see a bigger increase because we have a higher weighting for tourism. Once the world has reopened and tourists start flooding back to the islands, we will conversely see that bigger increase as well.
So here's an example. I'm sure we all know that throughout 2020 and even up to now, COVID, the government did not lay off any workers. The civil service is still there. Everybody's still working. Everybody's getting paid. We know, we heard it over and over, that salaries, government salaries on a monthly basis is $40 million. We know on a monthly basis that St. Lucia's debt payments is about $20 million. We know that the government has to provide certain services. It must. So whether you have COVID or you don't have COVID, those expenses still remain the same. The number of government workers ain't changing because you had COVID. It's still the same number.
Yeah, exactly.
So when tourism and the country closes down, the revenue that the government earns is less. But since it is less, because your expenses remain the same, it means that the percentage of your debts or your expenses to the amount of money that you get in, that's coming in, your revenue, is going to be higher. That does not mean that the government did anything wrong. It means that we had COVID.
Exactly.
That's all it
when
means.
You see those guys, Norbert, when you see those guys like your friend Buddy and others who don't understand those things,
they understand it well. They just want to mal many people say well.
Exactly. And the sad things that so many people who should know better and those that don't, they get there. They don't read, they don't watch international news, they don't read the newspapers. That is their source of information. So they take that information and run with it. Oh, St. Lucia's debt. What about St. Lucia's debt? We are responding to COVID. Prior to COVID, St. Lucia's debt to GDP ratio was well within the acceptable limit. We're just around 60%, which by any means is a good figure. When our GDP increases this year and next year, we will see our debt to GDP figure decline.
That's right.
Because our base has now
come
increased.
Back, recover.
Exactly. When the government no longer has to put out additional funds for all its COVID response, quarantine facilities, respiratory hospital, all the protocols, the patrolling of our waters, 24/7, the 12 new engines the government had to buy,
right, millions.
All of those things.
Yep.
You're right. The overtime for police to enforce curfew. When the government no longer has to do that, right, and we don't have those expenses. Plus, we see tourism come back. We see the economy reopening, and our GDP is growing again. We will see that debt to GDP figure decline. The government has had to borrow to respond to COVID. What is so hard to understand about that?
Do you know what a taxi driver is? Do you know what a taxi driver is?
Yes.
Many of them have not worked since last year. And you know what happened? What we all became exposed to? Moratorium. Why would the taxi driver want a moratorium from the bank on his loan for his mortgage? Why would so many other people? No income. Is it because he did something wrong? No, circumstances. So it's the same thing with government. The circumstances in the world. So you go to the bank and say, hey,
using that same taxi driver example, who has not made any income through no fault of his own, there are global circumstances that have prevented him from earning income. Suppose, God forbid, his child falls sick. You know, as in the case of the country, there's illness, there's COVID around. He now has to respond to that.
Yes.
He now has to respond to that. So in addition to not making money, he now has to find money to be able to take care of that sick child.
That is right.
He has to face the bank.
Perfect.
On top of having to face the bank to ask them for a moratorium on his loan payments, he now has to face the bank to ask him for a loan for him to be able to take care of that sick child.
That is right.
So that's what the country is facing. What is so hard to understand about that? But when circumstances change, when the economy opens, when tourists are coming again, once he can earn an income again, his income increases. He now has income, I should say. He can go back to the bank, start paying his mortgage, start paying his vehicle loan.
That's right.
He can pay off the loan for yet take it to have to respond to his child's illness.
That's right.
That's the same thing the country is facing. What is hard to understand about that? Right? But not only that, I'll use that same taxi driver example. He also has to put food on the table. He also has to. He can't let his house fall into disrepair.
That's right.
The hurricane season is here, starting today. He now has to make sure that he has a roof on. The roof is repaired in case a hurricane comes. He now has to keep his drains clean. So he has to find, despite the fact he's not making any income, he has to find the money to do those things. Same thing for the country. The country cannot shut down because of COVID.
Exactly.
We still have infrastructure projects to do. So we're supposed to turn the lights off and everybody's staying indoors because of COVID? No, the country has to run. We still have to continue providing employment for people for a lot of the infrastructural work. Infrastructure works is not just for infrastructure works.
Yep.
It's for multiple purposes, including employment creation, including increasing the capacity for development, which is what the government has been doing. If the Labour Party was in office, you know what they would have done? In the best of times, that's what they did. They were in a state of comatose. In the best of times. In the worst of times, the Prime Minister kept the lights on and the country moving. In the worst of times. But let me go back to what I was reading, because I'm almost done.
Yeah.
The economist said, 2020 was an outlier year, an exceptional year for everyone across the world. It is not a sensible exercise to use it as a reference year, as most macroeconomic indicators would deviate from trend. The average performance for the first 3 years, 2026 to 2019, is a better indication of the stewardship of Prime Minister Alan Chastanet in managing St. Lucia's economy. There's other stuff I have here, but I know we're in the interest of time. I'm sure there are calls to come in. But yeah, we could go into that on future shows. Okay. But again, the Labour Party cherry picking and using their operatives and their channels and their strategies, cherry picking the figures to make St. Lucia look the worst when we are far from the worst.
And they paid publications.
Probably one of the best.
They paid publications trying to legitimize their propaganda with those paid publications online, and we know which ones they are, and they will reference and point and send links because they're not getting mainstream with that nonsense. They're not getting mainstream. So you'll get the links on WhatsApp, on Facebook, they're sharing like they're going crazy. And they're using each other as a reference for their own propaganda, referencing propaganda. So one site will have it there, and it'll point to another site saying the same thing, so trying to give themselves legitimacy.
Absolutely.
We have bushes.
So no, but what they'll not tell you is that St. Lucia's GDP before COVID was 60% net to GDP, which is a perfectly acceptable figure.
Say that. They are saying it.
Ours rose to about 86% in 2020. Again, we mentioned the reasons why, but they will not tell you Barbados is 140%. They'll not tell you Dominica is at 170%. They'll not tell you Antigua is at 93%. They will cherry pick the figures they want. They will not tell you how they increase the debt stock in their time. So no, but in 1997 to 2006, when Labour Party was in, they increased the debt stock by 63%. They found it at $562 million.
Oh, don't talk about that. Don't say that. It's the SLP. They can do whatever they want.
But they increased it to $1.624 billion. 63%.
Why are you talking about that? Why are you talking about the SLP like that? Why are you saying this?
Because they're too disingenuous, Norbert.
You exposing the guys. You're exposing them. You mustn't do that.
No, but I know we don't have much time. The show is almost done. But I want to get into further details about the debt, the effect of Labour Party on the debt, because they act as if debt only occurred under its government.
Guy Joseph exposed a lot of it last night. Guy Joseph exposed a lot of it last night with the road projects, and they're talking about our grandchildren will be paying for this into the future. Well, who paying for all of that debt when you all were there with the road corruption?
No, but remember the Lagan project?
Membaila Nadio. Cost overruns. Yes. And people getting paid. People getting paid to pay bills.
7 million, cost 133 million. Remember that one?
The government was giving these guys money.
I'm coming back on that one.
The government was giving these guys money to pay St. Lucia's bills, and they getting a commission for paying St. Lucia's bill. St. Lucia could not pay their bill directly? Siphon. That's what they call it. That's what Guy Joseph called it last night. Siphon. Tout calte vie tricks. Pour point l'argent. Siphoning money. So the government of St. Lucia... Lines are open, folks. 456-0931. Give us a call. 456-0931. I have a message there that's been lingering that I want to read. Question, Norbert. We now know that Kenny Anthony spoke about tainted and compromised. So what does that make him in the context of that UE admissions he was talking about? How can we trust any of their operatives who graduated from UWI or even the integrity of UWI itself. Kenny Anthony opened a can of worms on UWI by that statement he made about Herman Gill Francis and ek yo pa ka pale là où yo pa ka pale en bagay en da yo pa pale it's the same kind of. You talk about transparency. Philip J. Pierre, again, transparency and accountability. What you have to say on that statement Kenny Anthony made about UWI? You are the deputy, you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know. But so many things you thought, I don't know. Is it that Kenny Anthony didn't trust you? Is it that he did not value your judgment? Why?
He was
you
not
never,
part of the inner circle.
Why you never know like that? You never know. I don't know. We have a call. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good morning, Mr. Norbert. Good morning, Minova.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to everyone listening.
Morning.
I am happy to be in the university where I can learn something. It is not a ferocious TME created Marpale, irrespective. That's not the kind of program we have. Last night I listened to Guy Joseph and I was wondering if I was in St. Lucia. Really, I was wondering if I was in St. Lucia. Now, these are the kind of noise that they were like to make noise to prevent us from hearing those things. But thanks God for Sky FM. If it wasn't for that radio station, I can tell you, we all would have been in hell right now. And the question is, I wonder if other media houses don't know those things.
You don't know. You connais bien.
They know. It is just that they've been mischievous. And they have to act on the wickedness that is in their heart. I listened to Guy Joseph last night and I said, my goodness, can you believe that is happening in St. Lucia? Mr. Nobot and Ninova, there's a friend of mine, a taxi driver. And when you all mention taxi driver, man, goosebumps came on me. The man had just invested in a little touring business. So when tourists comes around, he go, all around the island. Employed another driver, another man, another driver. So that's money that's going to 2 homes.
Yeah.
He had a little souvenir shop where when the tourists come in, they buy the little souvenirs and things. All those things went down the drain. He had to turn in one of the vehicles back to the company. He kept one, and the man is not making money. You understand? And you looking at me right now and telling me that you want to blame, like they say in Chasney sa bay moun l'argent because World Bank la bay l'argent pour bay moun. I never see such foolishness like that. You will be going to I want Philip Jetia to at least one day call. We're giving him an opportunity. Call Sky FM. Call Sky FM and say what plan that you have or what you had in mind, because the plan probably didn't grow. So you have to try another plan. Okay? What would you do other than this government for us to survive that epidemic? What would you do? Tell us, at least tell us. So if you say we're going to do this and that, and then Prime Minister shall say go and do this and that, everybody will know, well, that was his plan. And the Prime Minister follow. But you say when you come in, you're going to do that? Whenever you are a lady, you have your husband or your boyfriend and things going all right with you, and maybe you'll just have a little misunderstanding, because every home having a little misunderstanding. A guy telling you, come and stay with me. You asking him, what are you going to do different to? He telling you to come in, when you get in there, we're going to make a plan. You going to leave your guy where you know? You're going to pack your clothes.
A better example is if I have a boyfriend that treated me bad, right? I left him, I've moved on. You know? The other one is a little misunderstanding or whatever. And the last one come back and tell me, oh boy, come back to me. I have no plans, but when you come back, we'll figure it out. You know? Retarded enough to go back to that?
Well, this is what I want St. Lucians to understand. Ask Philip J. Pierre, as the opposition, what are your plans? We keep putting pressure on them. What are your plans if you are happy to win the election?
Mais c'est pas just plans, hein? C'est pas just plans. C'est pas just plan. Qui man ye yo kay pay pis yo ha dia shy by ko yo ka hen la, hein? Kote.
Exactly.
Leo Tiwe, ki lot kote ka sorti. C'est ça yo pa weapon.
And they don't know. Now, my friend, taxi driver who had those 2 buses, he had to sell one. It means that the driver is not at work.
That's right.
So no money can come on the table from that vehicle. The little souvenir shop, he had 3 people working there. He had to close down because he cannot pay the rent. So the people had to go home. But let us just pray to God that COVID go about his business. He or she, I don't know if COVID is a man or if he's a woman. Go about your business.
It's a man.
And let us see how we'll be able, to rise our head above the water. But you all keep telling people, don't vote Chasney, don't vote Chasney. And I hate to hear that stupidness people. Why you don't want people to vote Chasney? Because he's a white man and he deals in roads alone. That's the only thing that the Labour Party supporters can say because they hear that foolishness from their leaders.
Roads by important, man.
Road by Potter.
The money you spend for shocks.
I have seen, Mr. Nobot, I have seen a number of taxi drivers. They park in their vehicle and they on the roads walking. They on the road. Saki Chapantier, Saki Mason, still bender. And I know that all over the island it is happening. So you telling me you going to... Now I want the Labour Party to tell us, are they going to stop the road construction that is going on if they get in? Are you all going to stop it? My goodness. Anyway, have a blessed day and God is going to do what he have to do. Right.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Thank you for keeping it real. Okay, so I have something I want to read here quick because it's dated June 6, 2014, 7 years ago. And it's from the office of the Prime Minister. From the office of the Prime Minister. And signed Dr. Kenny D. Anthony. If I can just show that on there for those who can't see. Let me see. Kote. Co-signature. Milila. Owaikuma. Kenny Anthony. Alright? Let me just read this here. We have a call. Let's take that call. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Robert.
Yes.
Ring the bell for the secret, the big bell. Ring the big bell for the
Okay, right.
Give me a good laugh, boy.
Good. Thank you very much. So let me read this here. Dear President, and that's addressed to the St. Lucia Police Welfare Association from Dr. Kenny Anthony. Dated, ironic, eh? Coincidental? June the 6th, 2014. Right. June the 6th, 2014. Right. Okay. At the meeting between the government of St. Lucia and representatives of public sector unions held on May the 20th, 2014, the government indicated that on June 6, 2014, it will formally present its proposals to reduce the fiscal deficit of the government of St. Lucia in the best of times. In 2014, La Pateni Pias COVID. And that's the same year that Kenny Anthony made that speech, the infamous interview that I made famous with Jadia Jean-Pierre on RSL. In the best is the same thing we're talking about. Here's the evidence. In the best of times, Kenny Anthony is writing and saying that the government will formally present its proposals to reduce the fiscal deficit of the government of St. Lucia. Maladministration, your party sans conduit, finance, pay here. I hope you didn't fall asleep on me there.
I'm here, Norbert.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. I got to keep my eye on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm listening to you. Yeah.
Consistent with that undertaking, or with the undertaking that the government is going to reduce its expenses, the government now proposes the following. A reduction in wages of public officers and all other employees of the Crown from grades 4 to 21 by 5%.
This in the best of times?
In the best of times.
Best of times.
In the worst of times, everybody get their salary.
Jesus.
Right under Chasney. The reduction will be levied on gross salaries. That is to say, basic salaries inclusive of all allowances. So if you were getting car allowance, you can still on your vehicle allowance. the reduction will not apply to the judiciary or the governor general. 2, introduction of a wage freeze to cover the current triennium or 3 years of wage negotiations. Wage freeze 000. Listen to this. Introduction of agreed benchmarks to govern future wage increases to ensure and maintain fiscal sustainability. It is proposed that proposals for wage adjustments beyond the current triennium or the 3-year agreement should be related to broad macroeconomic and fiscal indicators. So if the government do bad, if Kenny Anthony and the SLP manage the country badly, upasa henaries. Upasa henaries. So it's all going back to the maladministration, to them not being to manage the affairs of the state properly. And as a result, the people, the workers of St. Lucia, have to suffer this gouvernement pas perform. You heard that?
But today they want to come and tell people anybody who earns 4,000 and less a month, no tax. But that was what they were in the worst of times. They want to tell you if you earn $4,000 or less a year, no tax.
No tax. But here now, Wells, you
in the best of times.
Very well said. So even now, by tell me, please say, please move as far as the world is concerned. But we're performing better, eh? But even in the worst of times now, Philippe J. Philippe Samplin is saying that he's coming in and the first $4,000 or $48,000 of your salary for the year, no tax. We have a call. Let's take this one. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Morning, sir.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Morning.
Promises is one thing. Keeping the promises is another.
Delivering,
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just as they promised the youth, the young people of this country, 100 million. Did they keep their word?
No.
Instant. What was the immediately? We'll inject immediately.
Immediately.
We're still waiting for the immediately.
Yeah.
What we
According
saw
to the
instead,
definition.
the highest rate of unemployment and highest rate of youth unemployment.
That's what he gave.
In there too. Yeah.
But so when they come today and they promise much more things,
Papi show.
if the people are foolish and vote them, when they come in, they're already in, you know. You cannot hold them responsible after you have voted them, you know. They do what they want. So I hope St. Lucian does not fall for that thing. You know, their tricks, the old tricks, because when they promise, they don't keep their promise. You have a government that promised you they're going to work for a new St. Lucia. They have started that. So we have no other choice but to vote the United Workers' Party for a second term and to continue the progress and development of our people and country on the path of prosperity for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to read something here because this is the big kicker here. 3. Now these are the benchmarks that Kenny Anthony is writing to say that unless you see that, you ain't gonna get a raise. Introduction of agreed benchmarks to govern future wage increases. So these are the things that you have to see for you to get a wage increase. To ensure and maintain fiscal sustainability, it is proposed that proposals for wage adjustments beyond the current term should be related to broad macroeconomic and fiscal indicators, which means that you have to see certain things before you all can get a raise. These indications should include, listen to what he's saying, a GDP growth rate of 2.5%. So if the economy, and we know that the economy is a bad low.
So
listen to this.
Hold on. I have to digest that. So in the Labour Party's 5 years in office, 3 out of the 5 years have been negative GDP growth. But he makes it conditional upon him being able to produce a 2.5% GDP growth to give the civil servants a raise.
Yes, but so hold on, it's not only that.
Manage the economy.
Yes.
They can't get a raise.
That's
He
right.
mismanaged.
That's right. So listen to this. there must be a GDP growth rate of 2.5%, and I guess plus. B, achievement, listen, achievement of a current account surplus of 3% of GDP. So it means that the government must have a surplus of 3% of the gross domestic product. So if the gross domestic product is what? 3 billion, whatever it is, 3 billion, then it must be, what's 1% of 3 billion? What's 10% of 3 billion? 300 million. So 3% would be $30 million, $30 to $35 million. If the government doesn't have a surplus of $35 million, zot pasa hen a raise. An agreed level of inflation. So if inflation doesn't go up beyond a certain amount, u pasa hen a raise. The current unemployment rate. So if unemployment, however he wants to refer to that, I don't know how are they going to calculate that. If unemployment is below or above a certain percentage, u pasa hen a increase. The level of wages in the overall economy as measured by the wage index. So if other people not getting a wage increase in the private sector, upaka hen a raise. Agreed productivity gains, whatever that means. So si upa perform if there's no productivity, upaka hen la.
No, but where were those proposals coming from? You know, I have to wonder, were these austerity measures recommendations from the IMF? Where these things coming from?
Thank you.
Was St. Lucia in the jaws of the IMF?
No.
And we didn't know?
Well, maybe. Maybe those were self-imposed measures
before the IMF
come and clamp.
No, but
the smoking gun. Best of times. No COVID. Exe buglatika malmene peya, and you tell me now that I no bot. When no bot ek minova. Minova. Right? Have to come in the worst of times now when your record showed everything collapsing under you. Pour porter zotan di dan apwe sa, pour conduire pays sa, c'est kakakal bas qui en tête no bi alors.
Minova have to come and hand back my sweet solution. Those guys that mismanaged in the best of times? Oh, you know what? That's what you're doing?
But then again, what I just read there, doesn't this just sound, you remember all the criticism? Doesn't this sound to you, listening to those percentages and all those indicators, financial indicators for government workers, for the police to get a raise, doesn't this sound like running government like a business? Huh? Is it not like that? Is figures, is the numbers you have to look at? That sounds like business prudence to me. Minova utombe la man.
Absolutely no, but sorry, I accidentally muted my phone. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so this sounds like running government like a business, looking at the numbers, making calculations. But you know, I keep hearing this nonsense. Folks, government is a business. It is a business. Even though you're providing services to people, money have to come from somewhere. You have to look. What do you think GDP is, debt to GDP is all about? That's not business. That's not business. That's not finance. What the Ministry of Finance is not business, is not financial principles. You're not supposed to have income versus your expenses. What they say? If you don't have money coming in, that's what they say in there. If you're not satisfying certain criteria, you can't get money. Why? That's business. Business. You must have income. The government can't operate on debt alone. There must be revenue. It's business decisions you're making. You can say all what you want. You can malmene your sevel all you want. Government is government. You're providing services to people. But it's still business decisions you're making as far as money is concerned. Why you think they're talking about debt, St. Lucia's debt? Oh, all your children going to pay and your grandchildren. That's a business decision on how you're going to pay back. How are you going to generate revenue? How is the government going to impose fees? Wasn't it a business decision when you all increase vehicle license fees 300%?
Yep.
Wasn't it a business decision? Wasn't it a business decision when you cut back and you made school repairs only $1 million a year for the entire island? Wasn't it a business decision? When you were not fixing the roads, wasn't it a business decision? Puis ou pas tenir l'argent? When you at your home and you decide, boy, this month I'm not paying the light bill, I'll pay the water bill instead. That's not a business decision. It's business. You can call it home economics, you can call it home business, you can call it home budgeting, but it's still business principles. Say member gaila. When you're talking about money, it's business principles. When you talk about the hospital, say member gaila. When you talk about wages, it's business. You can call it, you can name it Timbuktu, you can call it Pisa Raccoon. Say Membaila is the same principles, is the same calculation. Is that, well boy, I only taken in $500 this month, I can't spend 10,000. That's a decision, whatever you want to call it. Say Membagaila. Whether you want to call it business decision, when you want, if you want to call it Glokoko decision, if you want to call it monkey business, this it's the same thing. If you add 1 and 1 is 2. If you call it business decision, it's still 2. If you call it home economics, it's still 2. If you call it Coco Macacri, it's still 2. Say Membaila. What does it matter what you call it? But you see, that's what they want to distract. Oh, you think it's a hotel? Oh, you think it's a business? Say Membagaila. Say Memla Hankini pou paye pou li. Say pou sa zot pate sa paye. C'est pour ça que tu as proposé tout ce qu'elle te ça. Puis c'est number, c'est l'argent. Zot pas te ka fait. Zot pas te sa manager l'argent pays a bien. Las menti bay moun. Las malmené sevel moun. I finish the show today. When finish? I finish. I'm tired of this foolishness. Elections coming. Votez. Chasne a dit encore. I say it today. Votez Chasne a dit encore. Because si c'est book ça entre là, hold dada nous pas bon. Nous fini, we finish. FINITCH. We finish. Moi last say book Gwen ça. Tired of them.
A very good analogy. If a partner, a man or woman, if a partner.
I'm tired of these
5
guys.
years, that person treats you poorly, does not take care of you, leaves you starving, leaves you miserable in the best of times, treated you poorly. So much so that you had to leave them. You left them in 2016. You have a new partner. Things have been going good. Everything is not perfect. 2020 was not a great year through no fault of his. You're going to leave that person and go back to what you left 5 years ago based on what? They have not changed.
We have a
They're
call.
not going to complain.
Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Hello, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tell them, vote for Shasni. Vote for Shasni.
Thank you very much. I have a message from somebody here quickly who says, in the private sector, we call it KPIs, key performance indicators, that staff have to meet to prove that they are worth a pay raise. Say, memba pay, yeah. Say, now, isn't that a business? That's what you wanted to impose on the workers.
The difference, in the private sector, you're making it conditional upon
The
their
workers,
performance.
that's right.
What Kenny Anthony did
On
was make
his-
it conditional upon
His performance, that's right. C'est pour ça ni plan tout, oui, monsieur. Ah, monsieur. Why this fella's good, you know? This fella's good. That's why you have keeping it real here. Me Nova and no bot. No isia. No isia. Don't try that. We have another call. Good morning, you're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Morning.
Morning. You need to turn down your device, caller. You need to turn down your device.
I'm very satisfied.
Caller,
with your-
caller,
what happened
caller.
this morning.
You need to turn down your device, please.
It is down.
Okay.
And one of the things the opposition is pushing through is that Shasni has made the country a tourism-based country. But I want to tell you, if you can probably link with Rick, when Kenny Anthony came down to take over the St. Lucia Labour Party, his very first interview, Rick asked him if he becomes Prime Minister, what would be his priority? He said, well, I'm not even the leader of the opposition yet. So how can I tell you? Rick said, well, if you become Prime Minister, what will be your priorities? He said, well, my first priority will be for tourism. I cannot tell you everything, but my first priority will be for tourism. When he became Prime Minister, tourism was his first priority. Agriculture, that was running the country at the time, became number 9 priority. So who made this country a tourism-based country? When we had agriculture as our main economy.
Yeah.
So everything there was done by him, and he was the one who caused the country to be where it is today.
Caller, I listened to Philip here yesterday on a show, I can't remember the name of the show he was doing, and he took credit for the transformation of St. Lucia from an agricultural-based economy to a tourism-based economy. Philip here did yesterday on one of his shows. He took credit for it.
Well, these guys...
So when it's convenient for them, when it's convenient, they demonize tourism. When it's not convenient, they take the praises for tourism.
We're too dependent on tourism.
Calling himself a tourism guru. Could you imagine?
Guru. Guru Puevit.
Yeah, you see, so people must remember this thing. We see, this guy believes people forget everything. But they have to know that everybody not forget. They try to push things to blow people's minds so they won't remember what has passed.
Yeah, malmeni or sevel.
Yeah. But I think you all are doing a very good job. And
thank you, sir.
I think I have a lot of information that I would like to pass, but I will have to do that in phases. So gradually I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day. I have a quick message here. Good morning, Norbert. I just want to send birthday greetings to my sister, Right Plant. That's what I see there, so that's what I read. Mr. Norbert, when and where will the vaccine be issued again? I need my second shot. They need to have more public announcements on the issuing of the vaccine. Stay blessed. I don't know as of today. I'll try to get that information for you quickly. If anybody's out there, you have the listing of the vaccines updated. I'm vaccinated twice. Minerva has hers already, and a lot of people I know. Folks, go out and get your vaccine. Good morning. You're on the air. Let's keep it real.
Hi, good morning.
You need to turn down your radio, please. You need to turn down.
I can turn it off. It didn't go off. Okay. Norbert.
Yeah.
It's obvious that Kenny is not an economist. So who do you think penned that letter? Because obviously that letter could not have been penned by himself.
Masave, I have no idea.
Well, as what I know, it appears that Mr. Auger seems to be the economist behind the Labour Party.
I don't know.
So if it is him, I'm just saying that, if it is him, and now the Green Party is coming in, and they say, well, if they win, they will be putting this gentleman in charge.
Caller, but the economists didn't have no vision.
But that's what I'm
How
telling
can you be
so,
an economist with no vision?
So look at what we had. And this is the same people that in the Senate giving the government advice and and all kind of thing. And now another party in the veil of green is saying, well, if we win, we are not going to be the ones in charge. People like that same person with no vision will be coming in. So I do not know where these ideas are coming from or where they're going, but certainly they're not going anywhere as far as I'm seeing it.
I don't know.
So people need to look carefully at the economists behind the Labour Party, because obviously that economist is a failed economist. So let us look at that carefully and keep that in mind.
Thank you very much, caller. Have a great day.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
So Norbert, today, vaccines will be at Philip Marsley grounds and the Darren Sammy Cricket grounds.
Okay.
From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay. That's the only two for today, so that's the south and north.
That's what I'm seeing on the Bureau of Health Education's website. So Philip Master Grounds
in Vieux Fort,
and that's in where? That's Vieux Fort. Okay, yeah. And the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
That's Beau Séjour, Grosley.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yes. Oh, so, wait. Somebody's sending me a message. Hold on with the schedule. So, okay. So today it's Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, Philip Master Grounds. Wednesday, tomorrow, it's a VG Sports Complex and the Dennery Mothers Preschool. Friday, June 4th, it's at Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, Jackmel Wellness Center, and the VG Sports Complex.
Okay. All right, great.
Yep.
Great. You want to read that out again for the days that is available?
Yes. So today, from 9 to 4, Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds.
That's
and
for
the
your
Philip
vaccines.
Master Grounds.
In Vieux
Yeah,
Fort.
for vaccines.
Yeah.
Wednesday, so tomorrow, VG Sports Complex and the Dennery Mothers Preschool. And Friday, June 4th, it's at Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds, the Jackmel Wellness Center, and the VG Sports Complex.
Okay, great.
No, but I'll send you that so you can put up on the Keeping It Real Facebook page.
Yeah, today 9 somebody else sent me a message. Darren Sammy Ground, the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground and the Philip Marsley Grounds in Vieux Fort. Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds is at Beau Séjour, Grosley, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. today. So those of you who want to get your first shot or your second shot, you can go over there to the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground at Beau Séjour, Grosley, 9 to 4 p.m. And if you're in the south, the Philip Marsley Grounds, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay? I think that's about it. You know, I didn't play any of the hot songs, you know, I think this is appropriate. Yeah, keep them out. Not a damn seat for them. Go out and vote, folks. Don't forget to get your IDs sorted out. Go to the electoral office online, the online site. Go search for it. St. Lucia Electoral. In fact, I'll tell you what the address is. It is sluelectoral.com. sluelectoral.com. And once you get to that page, you just click on resources. Oh, hold on here. Let me just make it as easy as possible. You go to SLU for St. Lucia, SLU Electoral, electoral.com. And then you get to that page, you will see right there in the middle of your two eyes. And if you have four, the four. Are you registered to vote? And you click check now. Once you click on that, it'll take you to a page where you can put in your name, your first name, your surname, and search electoral district if you want to put that in as well. And you will find out where you are registered to vote. Make sure you're in the right constituency, the right polling station, whatever it is. Yep. So sluelectoral.com. If you've lost your ID, go to the electoral office and get that sorted out. I think there'll be an announcement on that. I think there will be another moratorium on paying the fees if you have it lost or stolen or whatever it is. An announcement will be made as far as that's concerned. But that's not yet. Give the electoral office a call. Let me see. What's their number? It should be at the bottom there. 452-3811. 452-3811 if you have any questions. Or 452-3735. That's the electoral office. 452-3735 or 452-3811 if you have any questions about your ID or whatever times they're open or whatever information. I know some weekends ago there's a mobile station or district operations on Saturdays or something like that. Give them a call and they can give you all of that information. Go out and get registered to vote, folks. It's your right to do that. Choose the government that you want. Minerva, any final words from you?
No, just stay safe, St. Lucia. Just stay focused. Double check. Make sure you're on the voters list. Make sure you know where you're voting. Make sure you know what polling station you're voting. Make sure you have a valid form of ID. You could also vote on your driver's license. You could vote on your St. Lucian passport. You can vote on any of those pieces of ID, but double check the voters list. Make sure you know exactly where you're voting, so you're not showing up at a polling station at 5 minutes to 6 and then you're told to go somewhere else. We don't want that to happen.
Right.
We don't want that to happen. As a matter of fact, go out and vote early. Early.
I opening the door. I'm opening the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Me too. No, but I will be opening the door as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Thank you very much, folks.
Have a wonderful day, St. Lucia. Have a wonderful day, Norbert.
Okay,
Norbert,
you
I can't
too.
wait for your show tonight.
Thank you. Don't forget, folks.
I know it's gonna be.
Don't forget, folks. Bombshells tonight dropping. Boom, bam, boom. So I'm telling you, don't play with me tonight.
I dropped some last night, and you're gonna be dropping some tonight.
Tonight is the second wave. I'm gonna be dropping some bombshells tonight, folks. I'm telling you, I'm getting excited already. Don't miss it, folks.
I'm getting excited.
8:30 tonight on Hot 7 TV, channel 117, and of course on the Keeping It Real page, facebook.com/KeepingItRealSLU, and on Sky FM as well. Simulcast, the Man Champagne will be doing that with you tonight, 8:30 p.m. Bombshells coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. The Man Champagne with Champagne in the Morning. Don't you miss it. Have a wonderful day, folks. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode. Morning episode of Keeping It Real with Minerva Ward, who's here Tuesdays and Fridays. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
How about we go down to Castries South for the man Butch, Big Daddy. That's right, folks, Big Daddy.
You in my business? Sissy Ross. Marico. No, you ready? Let me go now.
Vote Mr. Butch. Vote Mr. Butch.
Mr. Butch. Vote Mr. Butch. Vote Mr. Butch.
Cause you ain't gonna regret your vote.
Let me go now. Vote Mr. Butch Daddy. Vote Mr. Butch Daddy. Vote Mr. Butch Daddy. Go now. Hey, Sissy won't just put your tick on your ex there. Marry go on a side there. Hula fula show coming down. Flabo taking the whole tongue. Then nuka aletiko long. Nuka piche yo konfonfon. Let me go, people. Right down there. UWP, let me go now. Vote Butch. Vote Butch. Vote Butch.
Jiggle it, jiggle it, jiggle it, jiggle it, jiggle it.
Butch. Vote Butch.
Jiggle it.
Daddy. Vote Butch. 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 Vote Big Daddy. Vote Mr. Butch. Vote Mr. Butch. I want you. Vote Mr. Butch. Cause you ain't gonna regret your vote. Let me go now. Vote Mr. Butch.
Big Daddy. Jiggle it, folks. Jiggle it. Jiggle it. If you can jiggle it. When you jiggle it, I tell you jiggle it. You not jiggle it. Jiggle it. Big Daddy for you.
Put your tick right now. Put your tick right now. Let me go now. Right now. Tikwa. Boom. Let me go now. Vote Butch. Vote Butch.
Jiggle it.
Butch. Big Daddy. Now
jiggle it. Vote Butch. Vote Butch. Big Daddy.
Vote Butch. 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 Vote now. Vote. Sissy Ross.
Yes. I know you want it again.
No. You ready? Let me go now. Vote. One thing now. Flabo. I want you to vote Mr. Butch. Vote Mr. Butch. Vote Mr. Butch.
Cause you ain't gonna regret your vote.
Now vote Mr. Butch Daddy. Vote Mr. Butch Daddy. Vote Mr. Butch Daddy. Go now. Hey, Sissy won't just put your tick on your ex there. Marry go on a side. there. Whole a full of show coming down. Flabo taking the whole of tongue.
Hello everyone, I'm Norbert Williams, right here on Sky FM 93.1. Join me Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. for the morning edition of Keeping It Real. And on Tuesdays and Fridays, Minerva Ward joining me from Canada, right near the North Pole. Although it's cold over there, it's gonna be hot in here. Don't you forget, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on GVD TV and streaming live on Facebook. Don't you miss it.